August 19th, 2025, work session of the Coffee County Board of Education. I did not, Beth, would you lead us in a prayer?
I'll be glad to.
Father, we just commit this meeting to you tonight. We need your wisdom, your understanding. We want to vote your heart. And so we ask you to show us how to bless the staff of Coffee County School System, how to prepare for the future. You know everything that's coming up. And so we thank you for it in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay, we got a number of things on the agenda today. So the first one is the superintendent's calendar. So, and April, you want to discuss that?
So when we were loading Mr. Hargrove into payroll, we referenced his contract. And there were questions about what calendar he was attached to. So I think the previous director was attached to the 261 calendar, and he was on it all by himself, and he got 10 holidays and 20 vacation days. But I remember in discussions with the new contract that possibly the new director was going to move to the central office calendar, which is 257, which would give them 13 vacation days and 16 holidays. So just need to clear up what, I guess, we need to clear up, my department needs to clear up on which calendar he's going to be on, and in fact look at his vacation and holidays to make sure what was put in the contract is correct.
Because right now, he's, the way the contract reads, he's on his own calendar.
Yes, so the way it reads right now, he's on the old calendar minus 7 vacation days. Because right now he's getting 13, I think, per the contract, and then 10 holidays. So the old contract for the previous director was on that same calendar, but he got 20 vacation days and 10 holidays.
Now, I know we discussed this and kind of hashed this out at the director's meeting, or the director search committee meeting, and I believe Frida and I were the only ones there, so hopefully Frida will remember what we said. Do you remember why we decided this particular calendar? Okay.
So you're saying that, would you refresh us again, the previous director had 20
vacation days.
20 vacation days
And then 10 holidays.
and 10 holidays. Okay, and so,
It's in your packets. The contracts are in there for each of the directors, and I've highlighted it. Mr. Hargrove is on page 3, and Dr. Lawson's is on page 5.
see, you're right there.
Mr.
So you
Chairman.
said there's 10 holidays and 20,
Vacation days.
Vacation.
And that was in Dr. Lawson's.
okay. And then
Contract.
presently, it's,
Presently, he has 13 vacation days and 10 holidays.
okay. So we are penalizing him.
So-
Let's see, both areas, really. 13, right now he's getting 13 vacation days and
Mhm.
10 holidays.
That's correct.
I don't remember discussing
We discussed it, but I don't remember exactly why we decided.
it. I don't
It wasn't
remember
clear to me
any,
why we
yeah,
decided.
I don't know, I didn't know we even decided.
I don't remember.
Mr. Chairman, if,
It was in the, Frida and I were the only ones on the committee.
Oh, okay.
I remember talking about
Sorry.
putting the director on our,
Second.
I'm sorry.
Mr. George?
there was a vote actually went to the board, and one of the reasons it was suggested to drop some of the work calendars, and that's the reason why it was brought up to put the new director on the same 257 work calendar that the central office worked on. And I remember there was a vote, and I don't know how I didn't get into the contract, but there was a vote, and the vote was to move forward with that. It's just locating that vote, but there was a vote.
I remember being discussion about them being on the same calendar as us up here,
Right.
because we would all work the same schedule, and they wouldn't need to work days that we weren't here, because what do you do when no one's,
Right.
no one's here? I remember those discussions.
I don't think it's ever broken down to comparison.
So our work calendar, so that's just the 261. So if y'all chose to leave him on that, he would be on that all by himself. But
I remember discussing that, but I don't think it ever got to the point of how it was changing your vacation days and the holidays.
What was presented?
This contract is what was presented to me.
So that's what you thought you were getting into?
Well.
so each work calendar, so let me give a little more detail. So each work calendar, based on how many days someone's worked, they earn a vacation day for this many, like there's a formula that says, okay, they earn this many vacation days. And then there is also another formula that says, okay, this is how many holidays they earn. And so basically, the calendar he's currently on, he's going to earn all of that time, but it's not reflected in his contract. Does that make sense? Like, if he's attached to the 261-day calendar, he's going to earn the 16 holidays, or whatever, the 10 holidays. So everything's attached to a work calendar, and I just want to make sure that when we load his time, we have it correct, because it reads like different from the previous director, and then it's different from what I think I heard in
But if-
one of the meetings.
If we put him
So-
on, if we put him on the same calendar as central office staff, it'll line up with the contract he was presented, with the days he thought he was gonna get.
So if you put him on our calendar, he will get 16 holidays and 13 vacation days. There's a difference of one day. So
Difference in one day.
in total, there's a difference in one day.
Better for him or worse?
Well, right now it'd be better for him, because right now he's not getting but 10 holidays, so.
And
So there's a contract negotiation over a day, right?
Well, right now he's getting 23, I think, 23 days. We get 29, so there's 6 days difference really
two
right now.
personal days, yeah.
Okay, so if he goes to the schedule, if we put him on the schedule of central office staff, he would get more days back.
If it was written correctly, the 261, it'd be a difference in one day. But it's like it was written, it's like the vacation was written to be on the 257 calendar, but then the holidays were written to be on the 261. So it's like they're mixed calendar.
And
So there's a
really need
difference
to
of
pick
6
one
days
of
right
them.
now.
Really
6
need to
days
pick
from
one
what
of them.
he's
Either
not getting.
Give more days or
When did this,
negotiate a day.
when did this just one calendar start for the director?
The 257?
Uh-huh.
We moved, oh, I've been on it since I've been here, but I think everyone was on it at 242.
No, I think she's asking,
When
when
did-
did it start just for the director was on their one only calendar?
Because
And that was, that's been well before us.
yeah, so well before us, I think LaDonna McFall too. It's based on what's written in the contract, so I think, I haven't looked at LaDonna McFall's contract or Dr. Lawson's, but it should say in there that he's on a 261 calendar. I think that's what Dr. Lawson's originally said, the first one. And I think if you go back and look at Dr. McFall, it may say that too. I'm not certain why they were put on their own calendar. That was done several directors ago. But that's something that we talked about, him to being on their own calendar seemed a little bit.
We had discussed that in that
Mhm.
director search committee meeting, but I don't remember how we came up with these numbers. It's kind of, so, kind of big. But the important thing is, if we change this because it's in the contract, we would have to make a contract amendment, which would have to go back to the board and approved by the board
Mhm.
because of this contract.
That's
So-
correct.
Or we could still leave him on a single pay line, but amend how your pay line reflects to match it.
So-
There had to be a reason.
Amend the 261 that you're calling the 261 that was just for the director, amend it to however many days it works out to line
There
up
had-
with this contract.
There had to be a reason at one time that the director was, I mean, evidently it's been, in the past, always been on the line of themselves.
So I think so like if you count the days in the school calendar, it's either 261 or 262 usually, or 260.
Right,
So that might have been the logic.
right. And
at some point.
I mean, he's
So-
definitely not the same as central office employees. And I think that's, the director always had a separate calendar, separate vacation days and everything. I just don't want our director to get less than everybody else as far as.
And that's why I brought it to you guys. Well, that's why I brought it up, because,
So
I
leave
agree
the,
with
leave the
Robert.
contract alone and just change the
Right.
well,
pay
you,
line for the director.
you would
on
have
that.
to increase his holidays.
Well, we're gonna be
Or,
doing that anyway if we change it.
You would have to increase his vacation days, or whichever one, doesn't matter.
But that would change the contract.
But that would change the contract, yes.
Right.
So either way
it's
we
gonna
do it,
change
it's
the
going to
contract.
change the contract.
But the way I look at it, we're gonna be changing his holidays and vacation days no matter which way we go.
That's correct.
And I think, Robert, I think that's a good idea to leave it at that.
I think-
It's
I don't-
separate.
I don't think my break was long enough.
Yeah,
That's
well,
right.
that'd be the easiest.
Right. I know it's
Well, I do
probably
it at
not
the
easy
meeting,
on
but-
on bookkeeping, but that's just to me,
It's actually okay, because he's on that, it doesn't matter if he's on 257 or 261. We just need to make sure we have the right days.
Number of days.
Right.
I didn't want him to lose days.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's fine. I just, but I'm saying that we probably would need to change the contract irregardless.
That's
Yeah.
correct, to make the days, because when the auditor pulls the contract, he'll make sure, he'll check everything that we've loaded. They check the director's contract every year, so he'll check everything that we've loaded to make sure it matches the contract.
So we would just make the revision, yeah, I mean, if everybody's in agreement with changing that, we just make the appropriate change here and then just vote on the amended contract at the September
At the
board
next
meeting? Yeah.
So if you want to leave the days alone, the contract, the 261, is that what I'm hearing? Y'all want to put him, leave him on the 261?
And that would be how many,
You would just change his vacation days to 20.
okay,
That's what the previous director got
Yeah.
on the 261.
what is that?
But April, wouldn't that put him up here by himself an awful lot on those holidays?
It's a difference in one day, so he could take vacation days,
Okay.
and this, at the same time, we weren't here. I think it was a difference of one day, so.
You be all right up here by yourself, Scott?
Check on me every now and then.
You're not gonna go to sleep or anything?
Answering the phone.
You work well without supervision,
I
then?
think I
You can bring, you can bring Rhonda to work with you if you want to.
I'm kinda thinking you
Cleaning the
bring your
windows.
cooker up here and cook barbecue, we'll come by and eat lunch with you.
We'll make it work. We'll make this work out for you, okay?
catch it on your
We'll check on you.
calls.
So I'm kind of hearing from everybody is just change this to the 261 calendar, is that? And then we can put that language in and vote on it in September?
Well, I don't think we have to, it's already a 261 calendar, isn't it?
Just need to change
Just
the,
change the
yeah, the days.
uh-huh,
Yeah, the days in here to
Uh-huh.
match the 261 calendar, yeah, so. Okay. Everybody fine with that? Any- Okay. Not hearing any objections, we can make that contract change, Melissa, and get it on the agenda for September board meeting? All right. All right. Let's hope they all go that fast.
So the only thing that's gonna change on here, April, will be instead of 10, it's just 20 holidays.
Nope, it'll be 20 vacation days. The holidays will stay the same.
Okay.
That's the way Dr. Wilson's, I think, read.
Okay, instead of 13, you put 20.
Yes.
All right. Next up is the, okay. I've already lost my agenda. Raptor presentation.
Yes, Ms. Stein.
Are we back on the air? Yes, sir. All right, we are back on the air. And next up on the agenda is the enrollment projections. This is from Harpeth Research, and we have Wold Architects and Engineers here as well. So, Mr. Shores, you want to do the introductions?
I'd be glad
And
to.
we'll launch it. So,
Okay, I'm going to introduce the ones from Harpeth. And this is really more Harpeth's presentation. Wold is here for after the fact, if there's any questions on direction and going from there. I'm sure they will answer anything if you ask them throughout the thing, though. But I'd like to introduce, and I'm not going to try to say last names, I explained that, and when you hear their names, you'll probably understand why. We have Patrick, Ben, and Mason, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Excellent, thank you. I'm Patrick Jablonski, Harpeth Research, live in Franklin, Tennessee. Just so you know, I think it took us 90 minutes to get here today. There's a lot of growth in Middle Tennessee that you were well aware of. We just drove through it. Honored to be here. Real quick, I was a college professor for years in a previous life. And then when that one came along, my wife told me I needed to go get a real job. And the only place that would hire me was government doing planning and research. That was 22 years ago. And so honored and thrilled to be with you. I'm a data scientist by trade. We do a lot of government planning and forecast work. Real quick, I'll let you talk to the rest of Harpeth Research.
I'm Ben Jablonski. Work with my father on statistical analysis. My background's in mathematics and statistics, so I assist with the analysis we'll be stepping through today.
I'm Mason Jablonski, the younger brother, and I just started in the last 2 years working with them. So this is only my like 4th or 5th project.
so is anybody missing from the family?
We have a daughter at the University of Kentucky that's making sorority videos as we speak. And my wife's back home watching and staring at my bald spot on the camera behind us. So it's an honor to be here. The family of nerds has made it from Franklin, Tennessee to Coffee County. We are contracted basically to give you a study of how many people you're going to have in your classrooms, the number of noses in the next 5 and 10 years across the district. To do that, we did a study of the demographics of the county, as well as the localities within the county to come up with 5 and 10-year enrollment projections. You're going to see me for about, I hate to tip my hand like this because I might lose you. You're going to see me for about 20 slides talking about the population. Then I'll turn it over to Ben to talk about the actual forecasting and the projections. And Mason will chime in if we get anything wrong, and I might put him on the spot during the presentation. But basically, we want to tell you what our analysis of the Coffee County population growth is in general, the student age, school age population specifically, some of the difficulties and challenges with doing that specifically to this community, and then get to our projected enrollment numbers and talk about that. For the population analysis as we begin. First of all, we got a bunch of data from a variety of sources. First of all, thank you to Mr. Shores for facilitating us acquiring system enrollment numbers going back to 20 some odd years ago by grade. We also acquired some enrollment numbers from the United States Department of Education that was good in several forms. The elementary enrollment numbers by school and grade were specifically helpful, and we'll have a subsection of the slides today talking about that. And then for the population and demographic data, we relied on the Boyd Center at the University of Tennessee, the Center for Population Studies, to give us the county population and the county population forecast. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll try not to nerd out too much on that. We took all that data, and our study essentially is we needed to subdivide out the Coffee County population numbers to be able to exclude Tullahoma. Am I allowed to say Tullahoma?
Yes.
It's going to be really hard for us to give this presentation without. Okay. We had to parcel out Tullahoma, Manchester, and get to the remaining portions of the county to be able to arrive at the appropriate numbers. And then once we got a working data set, we used really a standard survival analysis technique, which is pretty much what any forecaster would do with school enrollment data. So the first chart that I have to show you, you're going to see a series of 3 charts that build upon this one. This is the first one. This is the overall population change percentages between 2010 and 2023. This comes from the U.S. Census Bureau American Community Survey. We cross-applied this back to the Boyd Center, by the way, to make sure that we were getting a consistent story. It was close enough for us to use. Essentially, you'll see that the city of Tullahoma population went up by 11%, Manchester by 28%. The full county population, counting everybody, Tullahoma and Manchester outside countywide, up 13% during that time. When you partial out the Manchester and Tullahoma populations by doing some math, the coffee population growth is lower at 7%. And that's kind of what we say the growth estimate is for the school system purposes, because that's where your schools are. And so we add a wrinkle to this. We now add these columns. I didn't want to throw everything on this slide at you at once. It would cross me up, and we're the ones that are kind of living this slideshow right now. When we add the gold columns, this is the enrolled school population, the school age population of these localities. You can see that the school age population in Tullahoma has regressed during this time by 7%. Manchester is up by a quarter, so it's relatively in line with the overall population growth for Manchester. The full population of Coffee County is only up 3% for the school age. And then when we take out the Manchester and Tullahoma numbers, really the CCSS population is up just under 0.5% between 2010 and 2023. So essentially, really one of the regular themes that you're going to hear us echo during our slides is that, yes, Coffee County is growing, but right now that population growth is very much concentrated in Manchester, a little bit in Tullahoma, depending on the age of people, and the county-wide population that we think will be coming, it hasn't kicked in quite yet. That's essentially what our central thesis is this afternoon. Another part of the population, you can see the scale jumps on us. The gray columns here are the kindergarten age population for the various areas of the county. And so for Tullahoma, we see a significant decrease in the number of kindergarten age children. Manchester, about what you would expect. It's very consonant. It's in line with the overall growth and the school age growth. We see shrinkage of the full population of Coffee. It's being dragged down really by the reduction in the Tullahoma population. And then we get this bubble of children countywide outside of Manchester and Tullahoma, a 10% growth of the kindergartners. That's a real increase, and that impacts our forecast. That we could have gone to that middle column on the far right, the 0.5%. I don't think that's realistic at all, based on really just coming to Coffee County every couple of months as we do. This place is growing significantly. We expect it to go up, and we kind of see this bubble of a future generation coming up. Unfortunately, these numbers that we get from the American Community Surveys and also the Boyd Center, these are not forecasts. Right? These are the difference between 2010 and 2023. They don't give us what the forecasted population is to 2035, so we have to obtain a forecast. Left side of this slide is an actual screenshot from the Boyd Center's Coffee County projections. If you look at that chart, you can see we're in the gray area right now, kind of the border between the gray and the green, actually to the right of it. For whatever reason, we couldn't nudge the chart off to 2025. It really wanted to stay at 2022, and so that's why you're seeing a 14.4% growth for the county at that time. But essentially, the the central story is, yes, the growth is coming. The chart goes all the way to 2068, so it's 40 years down the road, and it's a little bit hard to see, but somewhere around 2040, the growth rate really escalates here. It's a lot bigger, and so one of the things that we're contractually obligated to do to work with you is to say, here's what your reality is to 2035. It's beyond the 2035 time that I think a significant chunk of the growth is going to come. Essentially, everything that we drove through on the way down here is going to work its way down as time progresses. For better or worse, Middle Tennessee will continue to grow and urbanize in the direction of Coffee County. Our numbers and the state's numbers seem to indicate that's going to happen post 2035. For 2035, Boyd Center is saying the overall population is going to grow by 10.3%. When you drill into that and get the school-age population, the growth for the entire county is 13.4%. That's everybody. That includes Manchester and Tullahoma. And so once we got our hands on this, we tried to get Manchester and Tullahoma population projections. That's when I turn and look at Mason. That was his job, to go get Manchester and Tullahoma population projections. And he came back after a day, and he's a bloodhound on the internet and acquiring data for us. A quick story, we basically sick him on the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma that had 13 separate county jails that didn't have a jail operating system, and he went and found every member of the Cherokee Nation who had been incarcerated in those counties. We were told that was an impossible task. Mason did it, so we gave him this job. And he came back and said there are no population forecasts that are official from the state for Tullahoma and Manchester, and we experienced some degree of grief, if you will, about that, because it made this project a little harder. And then about 24 hours later, Mason came back to us and said, if you read the Boyd Center website, it explains a methodology for somebody who's good at math to actually deduce what the population growth will be for Manchester and Tullahoma. And so we actually looked at that methodology and we executed it. And we found that 60% of the projected population county growth will be concentrated in Manchester and Tullahoma through 2035. Again, huge population growth expected after 2035. So basically, we followed their prescription, they being the Boyd Center at the University of Tennessee, to figure out what that forecast would be. So that's the population analysis. Now, we need to bridge the population analysis to the actual school enrollment figures. And so we have some slides for you. Essentially, we want to match the population forecast with specific areas within Coffee County, right? But the county-wide areas that aren't Manchester or aren't Tullahoma, and we needed to cross-apply that forecast. Now, in previous projects, we knew that we could go to the Census Bureau and acquire data by census tract, right? It's basically individual neighborhoods within each county that have the census counts, and the census takers go to those areas, and they do their count, and those numbers get logged. For whatever reason, the federal government has pulled all the pre-2020 census data off the website, except for, and I'm basically going to kill it for a bunch of researchers because they're going to figure it out. There is a cancer agency within the federal government that has not pulled their census data off, and we happened to find it, and we downloaded all of the census tract numbers for the entire United States onto my computer at home that gave us every single census tract, every single age, race, gender, other breakdown between 2006 and 2023, and that was going to put you on the spot. How many rows of data?
Oh, millions. Millions of rows.
It was 500 million rows of data. It was 500 million rows of data, and I basically sent it to him and said, pull out all the Coffee County children who are elementary school age, so that we could get a picture of what the school age is by census tract. So we get to that. That took us a couple days for that to process. We started subdividing those numbers and running subtotals and getting us to where we could match populations of census tract, and then we needed to apply it to the school zone map. And you can see in the photo there is a very scientific printout of a school zone map that Mr. Shore sent us that we literally, with no other technology available to us, overlaid the census tract data with the school zone data. I don't own a color printer, and so you'll see dotted around this map, I'm writing what the colors are of your school zone map. You can see red in the upper left. The numbers there are the census tracts. I basically tell you this. We worked on this. I think this was about 20 labor hours trying to figure out what the census tract numbers were, match them to the schools, with the idea of being, for all 6 elementary schools, we say, here are the school age census populations, and then we would forecast the numbers using some of the guidance from the Boyd Center and our mathematical modeling that we would do on a time series basis. And so we get to the end where we're actually building the tables for this presentation and getting to the math to say, here's what the by school expected growth rates are. And when we got to the end, we realized that the census tract data was almost completely useless to us because there's a multiplier that the Census Bureau used for each year that they didn't vary by census tract. They just said, oh, Coffee County from year X to year Y. In fact, I'll tell you, 2023 to 2017, they said everything's going to grow by 7%, independent of the zip code, independent of the area within the county. They just went and did that. So it's not very helpful after we did all of that work. But essentially, I want to demonstrate that we did our due diligence, trying to come up with specific areas down to the neighborhood level. We did run into some difficulties that some school zones share census tracts. Here's the resulting table from our census analysis. The numbers here are the tract populations. That does not mean that there's 1,069 school-age students in the new Union district in 2017. I had to combine multiple census tracts because New Union sits on 3 census tracts. It shares 2 census tracts with some of the other schools. But essentially, we really did try to get to a by district, by tract prediction of what the population would be. The far right columns on the right, when you do the calculations and compare the 2023 population numbers back to 2017, lo and behold, they all came out to 6.985 something, and it was remarkable that it was down to like the 10,000th place, and then I kind of knew what was going on there. 2023 versus 2021 is 3%. I knew the census data wasn't going to be necessarily helpful for us at that point in terms of modeling, and that at that point we were going to use the Boyd Center data along with using the actual enrollment numbers for the schools. So, enrollment numbers. Enrollment for this school system has decreased slightly between 2003 and 2024. The graph covers 2003 to 2024. It does not include the pre-K population. Now the AC is down, so I can stop yelling. The population back in 2003 was a shade over 4,000. You can see that it's actually down just a little bit from that time. The big feature on this graph over in the far right, you can see the drawdown of the student population due to the first wave of COVID in 2020, where the school population actually hit the 4,000 level across the board. During the 2003 to 24 time period of this graph, we saw really 2 areas of significant change. Significant decreases between the 6th to 8th grade numbers. There's a 20% drop in enrollment over time with that. I suspect there's some reasons for that. And then there's a wide variation in high school age growth that range from any one time to 2%, and then there's a year where it's 21%. That essentially the bottom line story is, if you look at the 2024 enrollment numbers, it's still at a level that's below 2019, really going back to 2013 in the data. So to put a bow on this is the overall population's down from long ago, but it is still lower than it was back in 2019. So the growth that we see in some areas is really a kind of a retrenching back to pre-COVID times. To give you some perspective on the chart that I just showed you, the top line, top row line there, I don't know, is that brown? Is essentially your systems, school numbers. The kind of orangish line in the middle, more reddish, I guess, is the Tullahoma enrollment numbers. Fix your eyes really on the 2010, 2011 dot. You'll see that there's an increase from 2011 going forward in the Tullahoma numbers that's slight compared back to 2003, but significant compared back to 2011. The Manchester numbers are up almost 31%. That's the gold line at the bottom. If you look specifically from, say, 2013 up to 2023 graphed on here, you can see that their enrollment numbers eclipsed 1,500. So significant growth in Manchester, slight growth in Tullahoma, and as well as the Coffee County school system. So that's the overall picture for the enrollment numbers. Now, we now know the overall enrollment picture in our story. We still have to figure out what the specific pockets of numbers look like. And so we acquired the individual elementary school data for the 6 elementary schools going back in time. Obviously, we tried to apply the census tracts to the school zones, but everything's at 3% or 7%, which is really a shame. We've done a lot of work around the country where we use census tract data. It's been rare for us to see that. I'm not saying that Coffee County uniquely is picked on. I can't speak to the rest of Tennessee, but that was very, very disappointing to us. So the following slides look at the 6 elementary schools' growth rates. The order of this is essentially by growth rate. Initially, I think this was alphabetical, and I switched it on the car drive down here. We first look at Hillsborough Elementary. To interpret this, there's 2 rows of data. The first row being the total enrollment by school, and you can see there's the number for 2017. There's 419 total students. In kindergarten, you had 59 enrolled. And then in 2021, you see the number 394 and 52, and then the delta is basically my comparison between 2021 and 2017. For this particular school, I give 3 comparisons on the far right. From 2017 to 2025, we have 4% growth, and we have 22% growth on the kindergarten level. So there's significant growth from a pre-pandemic perspective to a post-pandemic perspective. If we look just at pure post-pandemic numbers, that's the final right columns there. 2021 and 2023, both compared to 2025, you see 11% for the total enrollment, but then 38% and 33% for the kindergarten enrollment numbers. 2 takeaways here. Significant growth. Some of that growth is retrenchment back from COVID. You know, all the enrollment numbers take a dip in 2020 and to another extent maybe in 2021, and so we see those numbers rebound. In this case, for this particular school in Hillsborough, the rate of growth actually compares favorably going back in time, such that the population, the enrolled population for last school year exceeded pre-COVID times its real growth, 4% overall, but there's that bubble at the kindergarten level that we had referenced about 7 or 8 slides ago. Very real for Hillsborough. North Coffee Elementary is next. Same methodology that we used before. Look at the right side. Pre-COVID to post-COVID, 3% for the entire school, 18% for kindergarten. Again, real growth rates there. If you compare the post-COVID to post-COVID times, 21 to 25, 17 and 44%. However, it really kind of slows down the last couple of years with 3% increases. That's really kind of normal. And I think at this point, you're probably thinking this is within the error band, the forecast band that you're about to talk to. So the 3% increase is pretty much kind of what we're looking at with our forecast numbers. Third school is Hickerson Elementary. 2017 to 2025, no change. And then kindergarten enrollment is down by 10%. But then post-COVID significant growth. But again, look back at that pre-COVID number, a lot of the enrollment level for the previous school year is basically back to what it was before COVID hit. It appears that the start of this school year is higher than last year. But when we really did kind of very quick math on that in the last few minutes before the presentation, again, that's well within the forecast that Ben is about to speak to. Next school that we look at is Deerfield. Look at the far right two columns. You'll see growth, but again, that's post-COVID. It's the rebound off of COVID. Really, the important number here is comparing 2017 pre-COVID to 2025, where we are now. The full school size is down 2. The kindergarten enrollment is up 3, which is very much in line with what we had said previously about this kind of bulb of kindergarten students in the county-wide population numbers that we're seeing. New Union, reductions across the board, pre-COVID and post-COVID basis. Essentially, that the school numbers there have dropped. One of the things to keep in mind is if you look at the actual numbers here, look at 2024 and 2025, 314 students down to 313. It's coming up as a calculation there where 0% between 24 and 25. Really, because of the population sizes are a little bit small, some of the percentages might not be all that helpful. Essentially, the takeaway here is New Union specifically is not growing. And then finally, East Coffee, pre-COVID to post-COVID, the school population still has not rebounded to where it was before. If you look in the school year, last school year, 237 for the total enrollment, kindergarten at 37. Go back to the left side of the chart for 2017. You had 35 more students enrolled back in 2017. You had 4 more kindergartners there, and we're seeing really not much growth between 23 and 25 on the kindergarten side for East Coffee. So, you know, despite the Census Bureau not being able to help us out with parceling out the neighborhood level census growth, I think the school enrollment analysis kind of gives us and our partners from WOLD, I think, an idea on a per school basis where the growth patterns are occurring in the county. At least that's what the enrollment is saying. Overall, a lot of the increases that we detect over the last 2 to 3 years really are just a bounce back from the COVID numbers, with Hillsborough and North Coffee being the highest rates of growth on the chart. We put a little heat map on there. You can see significant growth in the kindergarten enrollment, certainly for Hillsborough and North Coffee, and the lower rates at the full enrollment levels for those 2 schools. So that's where we stand in terms of the population analysis, that we parcel out the growth for the school system. And then we gave you what our analysis of the school level data show us, that it's dependent on where you are in the county to get that full growth rate that the Boyd Center is saying. With that in hand, I'll turn it over to Ben Jablonski to talk about the actual forecast. Sorry.
There you go.
Here you go, brother. Thank you.
Sorry about your microphone.
I apologize. So, as Patrick was saying, with the context of the enrollment and population numbers, we'll step through the projection development process and then the ultimate projection results. So the bedrock of our projection is establishing a kindergarten projection baseline. As Patrick mentioned earlier, we used a cohort survival analysis. So using that kindergarten enrollment, we assume that each year someone enrolled in kindergarten moves on to the first grade and then the second grade. So the kindergarten projection forms our baseline for the projection as we go forward. Of course, there's some migration in and out of the school system, as well as students from Manchester City schools moving into the system for high school. So that is sort of the general process through which we produce the projected numbers. But starting with the kindergarten enrollment, we took a look from 2010 to 2023 to develop the kindergarten enrollment numbers. There has been a significant uptick over the last 3 years. And as Patrick was mentioning with the larger census data, there is a bulb, a growth in the last few years of kindergarten age students that informs our projection, given that the higher kindergarten enrollment numbers means that in 5 years we expect higher middle school enrollment as those kids age upwards. We do factor in relatively cyclical patterns of those demographic changes in kindergarten enrollment more broadly. Given that the school-age population for Coffee County, excluding Manchester and Tullahoma, has only grown at a 0.5% rate over the last 10 to 15 years, we do want to factor that in when we form our projections of the middle school and the high school, that we don't necessarily expect a massive amount of enrollment or migration into the system based on those population and census numbers. Ultimately, 2035 enrollment in kindergarten, we're projecting to be 5.7% higher than current headcount. That reflects the higher enrollment in the last couple years, but is still well below enrollment and 2010, 2011 levels, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. And not to throw too much data at you all at once, but this is sort of the grade-by-grade projection for the 10 to 11-year time frame. Overall, for the total school system, we're projecting 5.3 overall growth. That does track with the kindergarten projection at 5.7 being slightly higher, just because there is an influx of kindergarten age people in the county outside Manchester and Tullahoma. We also provide the K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12 breakdowns. And I don't want to list a whole bunch of data at you all at once, but in general, the overall growth rate reaches 5.3% by 2035. Patrick mentioned the higher levels of growth that the Boyd Center is expecting after that time frame, but this does track with the overall population growth numbers that we're seeing over the last 15 years and projecting forward to the next 10 years. And then provided the individual survival ratios of over the last 15 to 20 years and then over the last 5 years to try to get a general idea of how the pandemic has affected those year-to-year variations in enrollment. First, wanted to point out the 6th to 7th grade kind of survival ratio increase that we saw historically. So a survival ratio of 1 would indicate that every student that was enrolled in, say, 4th grade went on to the 5th grade in the next year. So if that number is above 1, that means that students were added to that class in the between year. What we saw historically was an increase from 6th to 7th grade of around 5%, but that's been more or less wiped out after the COVID pandemic in the years following that. And so we wanted to make an explicit adjustment to not follow with that historical trend necessarily of 5% growth in 7th grade that wasn't there in 6th grade. The more notable survival ratio deviation from 1% is from 8th to 9th grade. Post-pandemic, that ratio is 1.47, which indicates nearly 50% growth moving into high school. So that factors in the influx of students from Manchester City schools and is pretty much the main driver there. What we did want to call out for the larger high school projection provided on the previous slide is those 9th through 12th grade survival ratios, where they dip below 1 and by 11th to 12th grade get to 0.84, which represents 16% of the 11th grade class not being represented in the 12th grade class. So that informs the high school projection there, where it results in a lower growth rate overall as those individuals drop out from or leave the school system in one way or the other. I believe I will hand it back to Patrick to go over the conclusions here.
Yep. So basically, we've come down from Franklin and through about 20 charts and tables at you to tell you largely what you already know in some aspects, that the county is certainly growing. The individual growth rates are very dependent on where you are in the county. The bulk of the school age growth, according to the data that we have available to us, is really concentrated in Manchester and to a much lesser degree in Tullahoma. For the most part, the school-specific enrollment levels are very much showing a rebound from the pre-pandemic levels, with two notable exceptions where we see the growth. I want to very much emphasize that the county-wide population growth post-2035 is going to be rather astounding. If you look at the Boyd Center numbers, that graph goes stratospheric. I think that will have major impacts on Coffee County. However, to get there, we have to go from now to 2035. I don't see much in the way of the census data that's saying there's a gigantic growth in the next 10 years over and above the 5.7% level that we're showing with our school projections. Other than that, it's been an honor to work with Coffee County on this, and very much look forward to hearing what questions you have, because I know you've got to have a bunch for us. So let's go.
I just have a quick question. Obviously, we had some student population disappear during COVID, so where do they go? I mean, that might be a question for Mr. Shores too, I guess, but do we know off into homeschooling, private schools? I mean,
When
they
looking
didn't all
at
die, but
not necessarily Coffee County specific data there, but for the Department of Education, the bulk was made up from people moving to private school and homeschool in one avenue or the other, as well as a significant chunk primarily in the high school population that entirely left the school system.
okay. So we're seeing in high school, we're seeing the survival ratio go down to, now that 0.84 is from 11th grade to 12th grade, right? That's just.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's,
And we don't know if we're losing those students to drop out, homeschool, switching schools, whatever. We're just
Exactly.
losing a lot
Right.
of students in our high school level.
Yeah, and it, like you said, includes all of those sources.
so would you say that's a pretty normal number for a high school, or based on?
It's on the higher range of what I've seen for both 9th to 10th, 10th through 11th, and 11th through 12th. I would say there is typically a negative survival ratio there, but I would say the specific ones here are on the higher end.
Because you're seeing the 1.42 in the 8th to 9th, which is where you've got Manchester and Coffee County sending kids
Yep.
to the high school, still dropping down to a 0.84 on what we lose.
I didn't know our dropout rate was that bad. I mean,
Well, it's not necessarily the dropout rate, I don't think. I think it's a combination of dropout rate, combination of kids moving out, combination of
but I
kids
mean,
going
from
to
10th, from 11th to 12th grade, there's a big,
big drop, but I
Right.
don't know that it's
Something's causing
dropout.
that.
Maybe I'm just.
I think we ought to conceptualize it as a departure rate, because
Yeah.
not all those people are necessarily dropping out. In fact, Mr. Shores sent us dropout rate data that I think backed us up on that it's
That's
not
something
one
needs to
thing,
be
it's a variety of
addressed.
things.
Yeah.
on the population in Manchester, one reason the Manchester population is increasing is because they have, annexed. They annexed. And there are a lot of apartment buildings going up. There's a lot of rezoning being done where it's high density, and that brings a lot of children into this county. And in Coffee County, we've just had a recent change in our zoning where that, you have to have 5 acres to even sell 5-acre tracts and for
I'm gonna keep
residential.
my mouth shut if that camera's on.
And,
Hang in there.
and the way I'm looking at this is that really we don't have growth in our school system.
I'll say
So
that and let it travel across the
We're,
land.
we're flat, Hillsborough, North Coffee, and possibly East. And when you look at that, in Hillsborough and East, they might possibly need a new school out that way.
It's the I-24 corridor.
So, and
All the
New
way
Union
across our
cannot, New Union is not gonna grow because their growth is already there. All the subdivisions were developed back when that growth spurt hit. And it's the way the school zones are determined, there's no other place to even be built in there. So it's probably gonna stay practically the same, unless we redistrict.
Yep, and I'm really glad you mentioned the zoning requirement change with the 5-acre lots, because that did inform our broader projection, especially for middle and high school. We felt better about not projecting necessarily an influx for middle and high school as the projection went on, just based on that kind of putting a cap on the overall amount of growth that we could foresee.
So, with that in mind, looking at different areas, I mean, obviously, as Rita says, New Union area is kind of built out, but there's areas around, between where Hickerson is and Tullahoma that probably have areas that can be developed. Did you take that into account? I know you didn't have the really good census tract data, so you're kind of handicapped by that, but is there any way you took that into account?
Yes, qualitatively, we, not to name drop, we talked to the county mayor. We talked to the development board. We talked to really everybody that we could to get an idea
Settle down.
regarding, regarding what the expectations are for future development. The Boyd Center numbers really reflect only what the Boyd Center staff knows at the time they know it. That's an issue that we run into across the country in terms of development, is that a lot of their projections are purely based on arithmetic plus what development they see coming online. And so the discussion we had on the Harpeth research side is essentially with the lack of high-density future development for the foreseeable future, we don't see that driving enrollment growth long-term. Now, gotta say, driving down here and we cross the county line, some of the most beautiful countryside you'd ever see. Sorry, guys, my wife and I are looking at moving out of Franklin at some point, and, we'd love to come here. We'll happily get a 5-acre lot, but we're not bringing our kids with us. Maybe some grandchildren, but not yet. But,
There's always election years. And I commend you for having that conversation with who you said you did good. Lord.
yeah, and you're exactly right. What you say, I think, is a very powerful sentence, sir, because as stakeholders change and turn over, it's the vast majority of the work we do is working with government public policy decisions that are made by stakeholders, and we see things change, people change, times change, and just looking at the development that we've had in Williamson County in the 30 years that we've been around is an astounding number that I'm willing to bet that 50 years ago, the conversation there was, we'll never grow and come up.
Yeah, I've built subdivisions in this community, and I also row crop farm. We're just under 3,000 acres in this community, own close to 2,000 acres. It'd take me, the last farm that I sold 100 acres. It's going to be developed. I sold 100 acres. for what I sold that 100 acres for, it would take me 182 years of growing corn to profit the same amount of money I did in one sale. And I'm not gonna be here 182 years to make that money. I love it. They don't make any more of it, but you can't stop. Anyways, we're getting off that.
We never get off track, do we?
But you feel better now.
Oh, I do feel better. I hope it went all the way
But I
across the
will
I
globe.
have a question. Oh, go ahead, Fred.
But when you were saying about Hickerson, you know, it's the same as anywhere else in the county. You know, the restrictions are the same there, so
All we've got is these.
what's already there. And that's what we've got to look at, is what's there.
Where's the urban growth boundary? Is there any room in the urban growth boundary?
I mean, no, it doesn't go out to Hickerson.
It doesn't? Okay.
No, it takes
Unless
in New
Tullahoma's
Union.
does.
It goes, yeah, Tullahoma would
Yeah, I
would be
think
getting,
Tullahoma's might
would
have
be
it
getting
included.
that
Okay,
part.
okay. So based on, and I, look, I got a quick question for, well, why don't you go ahead and then I'll.
I was just going to ask, so our projected enrollment is significantly higher than what they projected, and how does that relate to this?
Yeah, I would say that the elementary school and kindergarten projection is the aggregate figure for the entire county. I think what Patrick stepped through with the individual elementary schools kind of provides an illustration of where we would allocate the portions of that growth that we'd expect, especially given 2026 numbers being, I think you said around 250?
256 is what.
256. You know, we definitely expect Hickerson to be among the higher growers, especially in the post-pandemic area. I think our broader thesis is that it's from 2017 to 2025 is really just returning to pre-pandemic levels. Adding in the 2026 data looks at around 4% growth from 2017 to 2026, which is in line with what we'd expect over that time period. And I think reflects the broader census data.
What is your kindergarten enrollment at Hickerson?
We have 38, I believe, in kindergarten right now, and we have 38 in pre-K.
Okay, so the enrollment in 2017 was 39, and so in 2025 it's 38. So it's, kindergarten hasn't increased.
But that 38%, I mean, that 38 in your pre-K, everybody doesn't do pre-K. So
No,
what
this
the
is
numbers?
kindergarten.
But she said her pre-K was also, what, 38?
Oh, okay.
So those numbers are going to be significantly higher when all the
Well,
K.
and some of those pre-K, because we also have an inclusion pre-K, so they come from outside.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
some of them will go back out to their schools for kindergarten, so.
Can I see that chart again, about 5 forward that had all the schools? Right there.
One that you had in the grade level that was on out to 35.
Oh, the projection?
Did that include, no, I'm asking, did that include all schools, all just Coffee County schools, or was that all of Coffee County included Manchester and Tullahoma?
Coffee County school system specifically.
About 220 more, I think it showed about 220 more kids, is that right?
I can't
Over
remember
the-
exactly how many it was.
You know, this is, can you put that back up there again? That, okay, this is kind of concerning because Hickerson and East Coffee were the two schools that were in line for additional
Right.
building program. And it looks like it's stable or less. I mean, that's just
Or-
something that we have to consider.
Or you look at redistricting
Right,
some of the students
right, and Bill,
from
yeah,
North Coffee to
The
Hickerson
new
and
school.
justify Hickerson
right, right.
expansion observation.
And also, Hillsborough and East Coffee, Hillsborough shows a 22%,
Almost said
increase.
something again, but I
And
didn't.
East Coffee, putting side by side.
Yep.
But for Wold, then, based on these numbers, then we had a discussion last time about having 2-section versus 3-section school, and this would probably argue for 2-section plan. Is that-
Or nothing.
Well, you remember the 2-section versus 3-section
I think
discussion,
we're gonna
because
have
that's
to do
really,
something.
really where we were at in the spring when we talked about this
Yeah.
work session, is what capacity do we plan for? And we said, based on the information we have right now, we don't have enough for projections to say that you would grow more than that. We had enrollment history to show what that looked like, but at that time, we said there's sort of 3 options. There's the right-size the gyms and cafeteria option, but don't change anything else really in the schools, and that's just getting up to similar size components that you have at your other elementaries. There was turn both Hickerson and East Coffee into true 2-section buildings, because they've got a couple of rooms that they're using for some shared, like 4th, 5th together. They've got special education in some rooms, so it was really looking at what can we do to the buildings to really make it a true 2-section, and then how do we master plan for 3-section. Based on this information and looking through and going forward, we said, it doesn't really show that we're seeing growth in those 2 buildings in particular. Yes, you're seeing it at Hillsborough and North Coffee, but if we just look at what those projections are, we said it's less than 1% if you factor in the kindergarten and the K-5. So we ran growth numbers out for the next 10 years at 1%, 3%, 5%. A 2-section capacity elementary has a capacity of 260 kids. So if we're at 235 right now and looking out, and granted, I know that you're a little bit higher than that right now, but you could say over the next 10 years, if the 1% is the number, 2-section accommodates that. You might have a couple of rooms that get a little bit tight if it goes up and down per year, but 2-section would do it. You could aggressively plan and say, what if the growth is 3 to 5%? A 3-section elementary is 390 capacity. 10 years out at even 5%, you still have room in the building. It gets right up to that 3-section capacity. So my point is, I think you're safe at 2-section, and you could actually look at it and go, if we see changes coming forward, we might have to think about how we put those extra classrooms on to get to 3-section. But right now, based on a lower growth rate and right-sizing the buildings themselves with those additions, 2-section seems to be the right approach to do it. It's conservative. I always want to go conservative when we're looking at this and not tell you to overbuild. But that's the question is anything going to change that's going to push those up to the 3 to 5%, which is really aggressive compared to those numbers. What this study did do is it identified maybe a secondary problem is that you've got 2 other elementaries that are going to be pushing up higher than what their capacity is right now. So the question
That's my
changes.
question,
Yeah.
is how far away, do you happen to know how far away those schools, North Coffee and Hillsborough, are from?
I'd have to take a look and see what made the most sense in terms of rebounding, because that's a whole nother problem in terms of how you look at it. But there's certainly a couple of scenarios. You could build 3-section at those 2 elementaries and then look at what made sense to shift everybody around, but now you're shifting the whole Coffee County system to move kids into the right building, but you want to fly the plane with the seats full, right?
Not necessarily well, yes. But North Coffee and Hillsborough, we don't know how far they are from capacity?
Oh, they're a ways away from.
Okay.
Yeah, because we did some expansion out there already, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't study those buildings specifically. We only looked at those
That
2.
that would help, if they've got room to continue to grow like they do for several years, then we don't have to worry about nothing there. But if we do have to worry about something there, we better have room somewhere else, because we're not going to be able to build another school, I don't believe, just in my opinion, but we better have the capacity to redistrict. North Coffee being an example, splitting at the lake. Because I think we go on the other side of Normandy Lake quite a bit from North Coffee. I do believe since we sold Jones, we could always buy Jones back.
I feel like if you build it, they will come. You add on, it's just same old, same old. And we've got to really do some thinking as a school board and what's the best to do, because, these numbers are true numbers, but I also know Coffee County, and I know that it's gonna be more than that by 2035. And right now, we seem to be okay. And I don't know if we need to look at adding on and knowing, looking at this, where the population is, you might say.
I think Hickerson is pretty cramped, right, Dr. Crabtree? Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, we go back to what Robert said. You know,
Yeah.
we may need to look at a different scenario of what to do with our building funds. I'm
You
just
have a
throwing that
lot
out
of
there.
developing taking place right now on the outskirts of Tullahoma in right around the old Jones Elementary.
Right.
You have a lot of developing going on right
And-
there.
but-
That
But it's
Tullahoma
being
City
annexed.
Tullahoma City Schools is not gonna be able to accommodate.
Well,
in
they'll
my
be the
opinion.
ones that are annexed.
Because, that's the thing about it. They really don't get a lot of building money, I do not believe, unless we spend it.
Generally speaking, we don't talk about school numbers until after Labor Day. That's kind of when our student population number firms up. But if I had to give you a guesstimate today, we're between 50 and 60 students short of where we were last year, for what it's worth.
I don't know, do we know why? I mean, I tend to think, and I could be wrong about this, that there is a trend for people to go homeschooling.
Yes, ma'am.
And for lots of different reasons. It's becoming more popular. It allows families a flexible schedule for vacations, for everything. We have a pretty strict dress code here. There's several things, and I hear a lot about that. And we have a fairly strict attendance policy. And I hear a lot about that too. And I'm not saying I disagree with it at all. I don't necessarily, but I think things like that can drive people to say, I'd just rather homeschool and call my own schedule, A lot of the work now is done digitally anyway. And so a lot of people see, we've got laptops at home and we handle it just fine when they're out for a week with the flu, and we could just have our own schedule. And I get that, 2 years ago I wouldn't have understood it, but I do now. And I feel like that's a trend that we're going towards, and I don't think that we're probably going to regress from that. I see that, I don't know, and I'm not saying don't expand our elementaries. I mean, for sure, Hickerson I've been to, and I just haven't gone through East thoroughly, but I have Hickerson. I think they have one bathroom, right, that all teachers share. And maybe we don't need more classrooms, maybe we do, but there's some of that administrative stuff there that, like the guidance or the counseling office not being a dedicated area.
Well, and when Mr. Parker was there today, I was kicked out of my office because our nurses station no longer has a restroom. So they were in my office to use that restroom to take care of some student needs.
Yeah.
And so I had my Chromebook over in another office.
Yeah. Like maybe if it's not more classrooms, there are still some very important needs to be addressed there. Even if it's not more classrooms and even if the enrollment numbers are going down, I think there still is a need for modification. But I just wanted to say that I feel like that trend for homeschooling is becoming more popular. You may have something to add on that.
Well, I agree with you on the homeschooling, but also when you look at our two schools, and when you look at Hickerson and you look at East Coffee, they do the best they can to take those old buildings and try to make them look
Yeah.
halfway decent, and that doesn't excite parents to put their kids in a school. New buildings, actually, I think will bring some back in because they'll look at it and say, oh, progressive. We're seeing growth. We're seeing, and just, going over to, Deerfield, sorry, and seeing the beauty of that school, and I think Deerfield's not having that much of a problem.
growing.
So it's just, we've got old schools that they need the work. They need a change. So if for nothing else, not even projecting on growth, we need those changes.
Updates.
I agree with Ms. Beth. I think if we're gonna do anything, we need to build something new
Well, I would love to see something new.
and rethink what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've added on we've added on and added on and added on. And there comes a point where we need to stop and think what we're doing and look at how the parents of our schools, what we're doing in our schools to draw these kids back in. And like you say, that's the projection parents have is outside of that school. And the second perception is the person that's sitting there greeting them when they come in or not greeting them. And
Well, I
so
think
those two
on
things-
that, they're pretty friendly. But we can't make the outside of those schools
No.
are what the outside of
No.
those schools are. And they look, they're 50 years old.
Because whenever people come to Coffee County, especially to have children, they want to know about the schools and they want to see them, and that's what they look at outside.
Yeah.
But right now, they can't buy just an acre.
You're gonna be
I'm not
okay.
selling mine.
I hear you.
They can't buy mine, that's for sure.
I'll work it in there. But when we talked about, the changes, we also talked about facelifts and a lot of that too, and cleaning up a lot of stuff. So new versus, some of these renovations where it looks new. I mean, what's your feelings on that? So,
Well,
hearing some of the
If
discussion.
you remember, there were sort of three levels that we brought back. One was just make the gyms, cafeterias the same size as the other buildings, basically do that new union model there. But the real recommendation was address the rest of the school. Renovate the office spaces, expand the office spaces so you have more room, renovate bathrooms, build special education spaces that accommodate that work. So it was do the additions with fixing the school to get to that true 2 section. And then the third option was to go up to 3 sections. So these weren't just capacity items. The first one added no capacity at all, and the last one was only capacity. The middle one was addressing the fundamental issues with the building. I'm a big believer in additions and renovations can really make a school nice, can get them up to speed. Are they going to be the same as a new school? No, but they're also half the cost. So it came down to a cost issue and a site
That's-
issue, a lot more site work and displacement to do.
And that's a big deal. I mean, we can talk about, a lot of things, but ultimately, we have to be able to figure out how we're gonna finance it. And that's gonna be a big challenge we have.
Well, and I think again, it's your buildings, it's your school system, not mine. But as I'm looking out there and thinking about the 2035 up, if you know you have big pending growth issues coming out 10 years from now, do you say, let's build these 2 new schools right now and really tax to get that done? Or do you fix the 2 schools in anticipation of you're going to have to do some larger things in about 10 to 15 years?
So do a Band-Aid and kick the can down the road, or
Nicer than a Band-Aid.
address it
Do
now.
some surgery. Do some surgery.
So you can make the outside of those 2 old buildings look modern.
Do a lot.
Okay.
I can go
We
get a
need it.
facelift, but I'm still old.
Feel your pain. Feel your pain. This knee doesn't work the way it used to.
But we can't replace you.
Yeah, the character comes with that too. And there's something to be said for character.
Thank
It's,
you.
it's certainly not an easy decision.
Any other
Is-
questions?
Is those, I'm the one that sent you all that data. The industrial park, is that where the 2035 comes into play of those industrial parks that we've just come on, 1,845 acres? An industrial park that we just developed here or, fixing to start developing, and is that where some of that come into?
I think so. I think that's a portion of it. Really, I think the bigger story long-term beyond 2035 is just sprawl from Rutherford County coming on down. That certainly the industrial zone is going to put bodies in here, but really overall, I think it's just spread over time.
Thank you.
I also wanted to add to that development that we're seeing now, we don't necessarily see in the enrollment projections for a few years down the road. You know, as people move in there, families move in there, have kids, and so on. That does take a few years of, you know, lagged years from development to it showing up in our data and in our projections. So part of it is projecting, you know, future development, you know, acknowledging what development's occurring now. But like you said, a lot of that is showing up beyond the time frame of the projection we showed earlier.
Because, I mean, you could have a big industry come in here and hire 1,000 people, and it's out next to East Coffee. That industrial park is out next to East Coffee. So if you have a big industry come in here, then that's gonna shift all of that to that end. So, I mean, I know that's hardly no way y'all can project that. But that happened in Mobile, Alabama. They just had a big company move in down there. They hired 2,000 people on an industrial park that they had down there for 20 years. So, I mean, you don't know, and I know it's, I'm just wondering if that's how y'all was projecting that, you know.
Yeah, because he's talking about the mega site, I'm sure
The
you
mega
know
site,
that.
Yeah. And, you know, keep in mind, we're also constrained, as is, you know, the entire county on the density question as well. Sure. That there might be, you know, enhanced employment and job roles from the mega site, but where will everybody live? You know.
I don't see the data for expansion, but I have walked renovation, definitely. I just don't see the data. You know, we talk about the mega site and all that. I mean, I doubt we see the majority of it in our tenure here of development there. I mean, it's just like Blue Oval City and the Ford plant. I've been waiting for 3 years now to build the bridges going into the plant that they put on hold, and there's no intention on when they're going to start it back in Jackson, Tennessee. So, you know, it's not flooding in as you would think. I don't know. There's too many whims there to spend millions and millions and millions and millions on taxpayers right now. I just don't see the data, but I've definitely walked renovation in 2 schools.
I guess I have a bad taste in my mouth over the renovations that we just got through. And that's why I'm kind of reluctant on that way to go.
It's definitely something to think about. What you just said. Yeah.
We do have a new team though, so
Yeah.
that's kind
But
we put our
hopefully we
trust
have
in.
different contractors.
There's that too, yes. Yep. All right, any other questions for Wold and Harpeth?
What's your gut feeling?
Like I said, our recommendation based on this would be, I think you're very conservative to say, let's bring those 2 buildings up to the same standard as the other ones. Get the gyms and the cafeterias the right size, get them to 2-section, address some of the spatial needs inside. You really could consider, do you put even just 2 classroom capacity on, which is not the same as going to 3-section, just to give you a couple of flex rooms to, you know, as you have different groups go through, but I think you'd be very safe in doing that. I do think you still have the issue of you have 2 schools that have components and pieces that don't match the other 4.
Make some decisions, then somebody's gonna have to go down and arm wrestle with the county.
I think this gives a lot of data to show that you studied.
I'm not the one.
We'll send Frida.
I done shot my chances tonight.
Okay. Well, unless there's any further questions, then, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out. This was great
Yes,
data.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
eye-opening data. Yeah. Drive back through civilization.
Thank y'all. It was very, all of it.
Something like that. I love statistics type stuff, so that was really interesting to me.
I just took the major
conclusion. Me too. I was like, just give me the bottom line.
Right.
All right. Well, let's do a quick restroom break and then we'll reconvene for our last two agenda items.
Yeah. Oh, man. Are we on break?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'm telling you what, everybody wants the calendar.
Which one was?
And then
We're back on the air. Welcome back to Coffee County Board of Education, our YouTube channel. So we have two more agenda items. One is Mr. Hansert reached out to me and wanted to talk about consideration of Christmas bonus for employees not receiving the state's $2,000 bribe or distribution. Oh, I shouldn't say bribe, distribution. So, Mr. Hansert.
No, it's kind of always been a thing that for me to always remember our office people and our classified, I guess is what it is, employees and just trying to keep them let them know how important they are to us, how important they are to our school system. We couldn't do it without them. They're just very, very important to us, very valuable to us. Our office personnel, again, our bus drivers, custodians, like I said, teachers' assistants. They're just, very important to us, and some of them are barely making over $20,000 a year. And we're our school system's doing very well, and just wanted to look at that and see if we might be able to do that.
So what would be the financial impact? And I guess that's the first question we have to ask.
Well, I guess that, I've done a couple different calculations, but I guess I'm not clear on, who it includes, like who you're talking about everyone, just classified. I have all the calculations, I just had.
Do you mind if I
No, go ahead.
As we go back, this story started last spring, and it was my understanding that all parties that were participating in the educational process of our children were going to get a bonus. And then over the course of time, no fault of anyone here, that list got whittled just to teachers, and then it was teachers dealing with students. Well, everybody in this room or in our school system that works in our school system, echo what Mr. Hansert said, from our bus drivers to our cafeteria workers to our custodians to our educational assistants to our coaches to our central office staff. We all invest in our children. Ms. April, do you have a guesstimate if we gave everybody that did not receive the $2,000 budget, if they worked for Coffee County Schools last school year, even the people that only worked half a year, because that was one of the requirements that was dropped in as well, had to work more than 120 school days. So we're on a 10-month calendar, $200 a week. What would that number look like?
So this is classified? We're talking classified, or are we talking everybody?
We're talking outside of our teachers that are going to receive it next month. Everybody else, classified, non-classified. What would that number be?
So I looked at our numbers based on right now, and they should be pretty close. So it will be around $870,000 to give everyone outside of like everyone that got it prior, that didn't get the $2,000 from the state. We received around $600,000 from the State Department to take care of our teachers. So that puts us right around kind of, when we've done the bonuses in the past, it puts us around 1.5, which is about a normal number that we would have came to in prior years. So I feel like the 870 is pretty accurate, but going back and looking at the previous school year and doing it, it may be less, it may be a little bit more.
So that's a tick more than are going to receive it, correct?
It could potentially be more, but like I said, I used our numbers as of, I think, right after we did all the hiring, so right around the 1st of August. So I don't know how we ended up last school year. on employee numbers, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
We also looked at supervisory teachers that just didn't make that, quite that cutoff. Is that,
We have coaches that we didn't pay. That would, if you pay everybody, that would include
We
them
had
as well.
about 15 people that didn't get the $2,000 from the state, either because they didn't work 120 days or they weren't in direct contact with students.
That's 10 years or after.
870,000?
The amount that, the dollar amount that was given to the teachers and the people that received it, that was what, about 798, 780, 780,000? As I remember from the budget amendment.
Yeah, it was 6 something and then some benefits. So
So
let
basically,
me get, oh.
basically, we're looking at half and half. I mean, for all intents and purposes.
But the $2,000 we paid out came directly from the state.
Right,
Not
right.
impact our budget.
Yeah,
Yeah, or just send the state.
And then-
bill
and then
to
state
That's
getting
ridiculous
a big
anyways
chunk
to
of it
do
back in
math. Why
taxes.
would you do that? Stupid, whatever.
So around 769 was with everything, with
stupid.
the payout and the
I ain't a
benefits.
I agree. Yeah, can't argue with that.
We're gonna make you have to do this, and we're gonna give you the money to do it, but that's gonna make you have to do the other half. I mean, it's stupid.
Well, my biggest thing is, we keep getting further and further apart on those people. We've talked about it, we've talked about it. It's time for us to do something about it. Put our money where our mouth is, literally. These people work their tails off. We got custodians that, who's the first person they call whenever a kid gets sick? And they're topping out after 25 years, $18 an hour.
well, my biggest thing is, we can't operate the school system without every aspect, every employee.
Yes, sir.
Because if one group doesn't show up, you're gonna be shutting down schools.
Yes, sir.
And that janitor, or that teacher's aide, or that bus driver, or that cafeteria worker puts in the work and the effort, and, they're just as an important integral part as the teacher is.
Yes, sir.
And I think they deserve, I think everybody deserves, a bonus. I don't think it was fair for the state to tie our hands, but
I don't think nobody here in this room would go against this, and I think everybody probably pretty well agrees that in our heart and in our seats and in our britches, we got to do this, and it is what it is. I know what I'd like to tell the state for causing it, but I do want to say that, that there's always going to be a separation of pay scale.
right.
Custodian's never going to make what a 25-year doctorate is going to make, period.
Well, no,
Anyway.
but I mean,
And, but this deal right here, I mean, you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, the state, they done this on purpose, just to make boards have to sit here and peel off some money and put it back into the system. Well, that's fine. That's fine. At least it's a good reason,
yeah, and I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, everybody deserves
Yeah.
the bonus. Everybody
Yeah,
works hard, everybody
that's-
does their job,
Cheesy
One-
if you don't.
One question that I do have, and I just thought about that sitting here, was what about part-time employees? What, I know you said they gotta work 120 days, or, I mean, what's,
So in the past, if we've given to one set of people, we've given to everybody. So a part-time employee would get the same amount as a
Okay.
full-time employee.
okay.
That's what we've done in the past.
Okay, I mean, that's fair, I was just wondering, because it just happened, it just hit me,
If-
and,
And if a teacher landed in Coffee County Schools in March, April, May, that's about, $200 a month.
Yeah.
Time for their time, and that lets everybody know that
In the,
what we think of their worth. They
So-
all, everybody's part of our team has that.
Are you
work-life
saying
balance.
that these bonuses would be sort of prorated?
Yeah.
if someone came
Or,
on, like,
like-
so you have someone that worked maybe 5 months with us
Yeah.
instead of the full 10 or
Uh-huh.
11 or 12,
Uh-huh.
then in the past, that's what we've done,
Okay.
is we've prorated it by month so
Yeah.
that they don't get the same amount as someone who's been with us.
And I
all
think
year.
that's fair.
Yeah.
But,
Yes,
but
I
you
think that's
also
fair.
had to be with us at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also
Okay.
in the
So
past,
if you left
You
before.
left, that's on you.
we've split,
That's fair.
I
Yeah.
think it is
That's
fair.
fair.
Right.
And
Yeah.
also, we classify this as extra pay, not a bonus, right?
that's correct.
For tax purposes, yeah.
Okay, so it's not taxed like a bonus
We would include it in their normal paycheck, and
Extra
we
pay.
would, we put it in their
Well,
normal
that's good.
paycheck, and then,
because bonus tax.
I want to say something on
Yeah,
behalf
they'll-
of
they'll get
teachers.
taxed on it, but not
Right.
as much, yeah, as a
Okay.
bonus, yeah.
Good.
So that's-
I want to say something on behalf of teachers. There was a reason why that $2,000 was given to the teachers, because they're on the front lines. They are probably more responsible for those children than anybody else in that building. And I'm for everybody getting it, but they are special, and that's why that $2,000 was allocated. The way I look at it, it's because they were on the front lines. So we need to give them another $2,000 too, because that bonus came from the state. Are we being fair to them by using taxpayer dollars and giving $2,000 to taxpayer money to everybody else but the teachers? That money came from the state. I mean, that's something to think about.
It is, and I mean, I see it from both sides, but like
I do
you
too.
said, they're also held accountable for those test scores.
Right.
Whereas maybe our other folks are not as much.
But what,
But-
but what y'all understand that's what I think
Right.
too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, just from a teacher's standpoint, they got that $2,000 from the state, and now everybody else in that building, they're getting $2,000 from the county, and they're not. You see what I'm saying? Of course, that would make
and
them
that's
get,
kind of, I mean, that's brought this to you guys, and that's
Right,
what y'all want to
right.
do.
just
Our,
thinking about-
Yeah.
our,
You've
the
already missed
state,
one.
the state bonus to our teachers
You're stuck
will
in-
not go out until next month.
They're going to go out in September paycheck.
Can I skip that
And-
meeting too?
how many, so
got
that,
kids on-
that would
It
add
doesn't
to
get
it,
any more
wouldn't it?
excused absences.
You could probably almost double that amount.
Oh,
You say at 1.6 million instead of 870,000.
right.
I guess my point is, Frida, is those people, so if we don't give them $2,000 and we let the teachers give it and we don't give it to the others, then they don't get nothing at all. What's?
I know,
what's
I
different?
think that's,
No,
I'm
but we
like
ain't-
you, it's
I know what
unfair.
Frida's saying. I agree with both y'all, but I know what Frida's saying. We're not giving it to these teachers.
Yeah.
The state is. We're not doing it. We didn't make that decision to give them the 2,000 in the beginning.
Well, yeah, we did. We voted on.
Yeah, we did.
We voted on to
Yeah.
give them that by accepting the,
So we probably shouldn't have accepted it.
well, I mean.
Does it
The
have
bribe.
to be?
The bribe, like
Does
you
it
said,
have
the
to
Yeah, it's a
be?
bribe.
Does
It's a
it have to
bribe,
be
but
2,000?
We voted on
Right.
to do that so we could give that to the teachers.
Does it have to be 2,000
We agreed to the bribe,
each?
but I think we didn't know for just a little while, or no, we knew right then what it was for.
Yeah, 'cause it was, those stipulations were terrible,
too.
Yeah.
you
They're
know.
very,
Yeah.
That was back in the spring.
but we, you know,
We signed
No,
it, we
Holly-
didn't argue with
Holly
the
just asked a
voucher
question.
for it.
No, I mean, I don't, there's nothing
bribe.
set in stone.
Sounded like the
Yeah.
bribe was good.
I'm
But I
just
just,
saying.
I think that we need to give these people something. If we
And then
don't,
once you get a time,
if
once
you
you
got
get a
all
chance
these-
to study about it.
One other thing to think about too is our friends down at the other end of the building, and if you start ladling, yeah, I know, but it's a reality.
Your friend.
So, if you start handing out a lot of bonuses and, then they start squawking down there at the other end of the building too. So I just throw that out there for your consideration. We may or may not care, but
I'm agree with both of y'all. You couldn't pay them enough.
Yeah.
And if we've got it, but I just threw that out there because the state gave us the 2,000 for the teachers and the central office people didn't get it and did principals.
No.
And see, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
we do care.
Our staff is not gonna be extra pay, so extra taxes are coming out.
Right.
But I don't see them being envious of the other staff for getting that.
Right.
But we have to consider, and I want everybody to get this, please hear me. But Tom made a valid point. We're about to go to the people on the other end of the building and ask for a lot of money. So we have to recognize ahead that this could be a source of, you guys got plenty of money, you know, so, but I still would like to see our staff get it.
But-
It's just a factor. I just throw it out
But
there.
the thing is, we're taking part of that big fund balance that we have,
Right.
and we're reinvesting it in our people,
And our people.
you know? We're
I
not-
agree, Scott.
We're not wasting it, we're reinvesting it in our employees. I mean, that's the way I feel
And
about it.
I want to feed off that because, you know, you're exactly right. Because how many times we went down to the end of the hall and they want to preach to us about spending tax dollars,
Yeah.
spending tax. That's
These are the
what we're
people
in
that-
charge to do. We're not supposed to have a big old fund balance. We're supposed to use everything they allow us to have to better the education in Coffee County.
Right.
But they can't figure that out. They're supposed to save. We're not.
Mr. Hargrove?
At least one of the commissioners, anyway.
I just think that
Whose name I won't mention.
we've been talking about it since I've been here, and we talk
They
about
don't
it,
know,
and we
most
talk
of them
about
don't know how
it.
to spell what they said.
And we don't ever implement it and do anything about it and try to bring these, you know, our people that takes care of us too. I agree with Ms. Frida that our teachers are, but a lot of our teachers wouldn't be where they're at either without teachers' aides. And those teachers' aides make a fraction in some cases of what they make.
And they are a critical piece of the puzzle.
That's an understatement.
And they are
Yeah.
frontline people, just along with the teachers.
Yeah.
You know, if they're a teacher aide, they're frontline up there, you know, with the teachers too, you know, I mean, yeah.
Well, we keep saying we want to use our fund balance on something that matters to help our teachers,
Better,
so,
they're gonna try to find a way to get it.
well, one thing I'd love to see us do with our fund balance is find out from Scott what sort of programs we could, or training we could get to our teachers, or what we could bring into the school to help them bring these scores up, and use some of our fund balance in that.
That is an agenda item for the fall retreat,
Oh,
believe it or
good,
not.
good, good.
Well,
Metal
you
detectors.
know, all of this is hinging around a big fund balance. But at some
You didn't know
point,
that.
we're all gonna have to sit here as a board, and we're gonna have to depend on Miss April and Mr. Hargrove to make sure how much, because a lot of people don't realize, a lot of us board members that were here for a long time, we understand why there's a big fund balance here now. It's because we got a whole bunch of free money and kept taking from the county and putting it back, acting like we were building up this big nest egg that at some point is gonna have to cover the tab, I feel.
There's gonna
In
be
the
a
future,
shortfall.
there's gonna be a shortfall. And all that's gonna have to be dipped into annually for about the amount of years that the COVID money
Yeah.
carried before we ever balance out.
It's a good, it's a
Although-
good possibility, it could be next
Yeah.
year that the shortfall
Yep,
comes
starts.
in.
They
However,
start
thanks to the
coming in.
brilliance of our finance director,
So,
looks like we're gonna have another
I know-
add to fund balance.
Yeah,
It's not brilliance, it's just people spending money, and our revenues came in better than I budgeted, so.
So, you know, even though it sounds like right now, all these peaches and cream of $20 million or 22, and we're only hitting for this, we're only hitting for that. Some point, that's got to roll back into this, because we're gonna start picking up those pieces that we're not gonna get. And it's only gonna last so long, picking up what we covered for only, what, 4 years, 4 years that we actually got COVID money. So, took 4 years to build that kind of money
I
up, so
mean,
it'd
from
probably
my whole
take,
time here,
probably
whole
take
time.
Probably
From
take less than the
2021
4
down.
years. This is my 5th, going on 6th, I think, mine and Frida's. And, you know, it probably will go out quicker than it came in.
Well, and Mr. Shores pointed out that that fund balance was kind of built up too, to kind of stretch the limits on things, so.
It's,
does
but
this
if you do
count?
the math of the COVID money in which we received
I-
and the math of what it is currently today, the fund balance, we're actually less than it started with when I come on as a board If you factor that in, the amount of money we took in COVID money, the 20 million, we've actually dipped into what we started with, which is a little over 5 million, and I had a 1.3 million in restricted fund. The rest of it up to 5 was in unrestricted. We've got a little bit less than that if we factor in the amount of money we took from COVID. Because it took me 3 years to figure out we actually got
Take your word for
$18
that.
million of COVID money.
Mr. Hargrove?
Mr. Beller, my recommendation is the people that didn't receive the money state bonus, that we supplement everybody else, certified, non-certified, the people that did not receive the state monies. My recommendation will be that everybody receives that bonus.
So, 2,000?
Yes, sir. And I'll make that recommendation at the next board meeting in September.
We'd have to prepare a budget amendment for that, then, so, yeah.
If,
Which means that it's gonna be subject to the guys down at the other end of the building, so just.
Well, let them be the ones that tell everybody else that they can't get it, but some
I will
can.
say that I've never had, I know that things have been different in the last few months, but I've never had any negative comments from either the commission or budget and finance about giving extra pay to our employees. I've
Okay.
never,
Okay.
I've
Well,
never
they-
received that
They
from
are
them.
human.
Yeah.
They still understand.
our folks do an absolutely great job.
Absolutely.
And you can pull whatever professional title out, whether they're a educational assistant, our bus drivers, our teachers, our administrative team, everybody's on the road.
Okay, and so we would prepare a budget amendment to be
Yes, sir.
considered at the September board meeting?
Yes, sir.
All right,
So everyone that worked 24-25 school year that did not receive a state bonus,
That is still here
that's still employed,
and.
Been finished.
That
with this
finished.
Yep.
Last year's what I said.
That even
and
includes Mr.
prorate
Shores.
the others.
my department's gonna love y'all.
except,
Thank you, Mr. Gillies.
except Mr. Short.
Miss
I don't think
Melton, I got a question. From our last board meeting, roughly, I think, was looking at adding roughly 2.5 million to fund balance. So if we do this, I mean, we're still adding money to fund balance out of last year's budget. So
I
we're not
haven't-
really we're not going back any, and we're not really reaching into our current fund balance to pull it out.
Good point, yeah.
That's true. And so what I presented last month, the split between restricted and unassigned will be a little bit different. So, but our fund balance is gonna grow,
Yeah.
at least 2 million or
Right,
more.
but I mean, if we do this, then it's gonna take some of that, but, I mean, we're still got a little growth to the fund balance,
Mhm.
even
Yes,
by
sir.
doing this.
Okay,
And even by doing this, and even if we did do the Raptor we were presented with earlier tonight.
yeah,
Right.
all right. So, all good, so we'll see that
Sounds
in the
good.
September board meeting.
Okay.
All right, last item on the agenda is discussion, clarification on use of facilities, fee waivers, and, Chris and, what's that?
I say Mr. Shores, he knows it.
Well, I want to say something about this, some Robert's Rules of Order procedural things, just before we launch into this a little bit, is, there was some question about the Workout Wednesday vote. I did some research after, Scott and Chris reached out to me, and if you want to change things, you can, in a meeting, you have to make a motion to reconsider, can only be made in the same meeting. If it's done in a later meeting, you have to either make a motion to amend a formally
Previously.
approved item or a motion to rescind, correct?
Well, a motion to rescind is pretty much a motion to reconsider previously adopted.
Well, there,
And the previously adopted breaks you from one meeting to the next.
Yeah.
Otherwise, rescind is just in, or
no, reconsider is. the same
reconsider is in
meeting
the same meeting
Yeah.
before the end of that meeting.
Rescind, there are
Yeah.
two separate motions, so, so that's just Robert's Rules of Order thing. I will say one thing is we approved the Workout Wednesday. This is a little wrinkle in this, is that normally you can reconsider things, but a little wrinkle in this is we approved an agreement with Mr. Taylor for Workout Wednesday, and the facility fee waiver is really kind of a contractual agreement. And since it's a contractual agreement, you can't really break that unless both parties agree to that. So this is a little wrinkle here that is not really, that you can't address by.
Glad I wasn't here.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, before we get into the discussion here, I just wanted to point that out. And I would also say in the meetings, we can also, if you know, if you don't understand something or you want more time to think about it, then you can also make a motion to postpone. Or if you have, you know, for me, you know, I've taken like 3 or 4 classes on Robert's Rules of Order. I still don't understand everything. So if people want to do something or make a motion, then articulate what it is, and we'll figure out what the proper format of a motion is to, you know, whatever you want to do. We'll figure it out so it corresponds with Robert's Rules of Order. But I just wanted to lay out kind of a little procedural thing, just so you know what we're dealing with here before we launch into this discussion. So, Mr. Hanson, what's that?
What happened?
We approved the Workout Wednesday, and there was some question about it after the meeting.
Well, I think it was
So-
requested that we waive the fee for the use of the gym.
Right.
That's what we
Well, the
approved, right?
custodial, we waived all fees, yeah.
The what?
All fees.
All fees,
All fees.
yeah.
Have we not waived
Hang
all
on.
fees before?
No, I think, I wasn't here, wasn't in y'all's little deal here. Y'all have fun with that. But Mr. Shores, correct me, but I believe year in, year out, if it was a school employee, we waived everything but the,
Custodial.
Custodial.
Sorry, building fee.
yeah,
Everything but the building.
everything but the building fee, if they was an employee. And we've done that consistently year in, year out for anyone, everyone, because we've got a couple nurse that does the basketball at some of the elementaries. I mean, good Lord, I've seen a bunch of those over the years.
That is correct.
Yeah. Mr. Hansard, did you?
Oh, well, I mean, that's exactly what you said, but what I got bombarded on and got texts after texts about was, the hitting facility. Of course, whenever we built it, we had turned down a lot of people, not letting them use the hitting facility, a lot of teams. And they were exactly right. And I got bombarded, and asked me why that I voted the way that I did. And I think so did a lot of other people. And that's whenever I called Mr. Ballard and told him that, asking to reconsider or talk about this, because, and another thing, that the money was being paid directly to the coach that responded to this. And he was going to be, I asked the question directly to him where the money was going, and he said it was going to him. And that created another dumpster fire about him, receiving the money for himself, and that's where we're at. That's.
And I will have to apologize. I thought the other thing was, the other issue was the actual facility use permit was not in the agenda packet. I thought it was there, so I got to do a better job at double checking things to make
But
sure
it
they're all there.
it don't really matter, though. I mean, just from what I've heard right here, you talked, somebody contacted you about use of the hitting facility, and they couldn't rent it and use the hitting facility. That's a little different when, is this Workout Wednesday basketball? And Mr. Taylor is the head boys basketball coach at the high school that is responsible for the floor in the gym anyways. And he's an employee, and it was voted to waive the fees as we did with everybody else.
We waived all fees, yeah.
All fees, so that's the only difference.
No custodial, no
Okay, well, I would be in favor of going back to at least the custodial like we have done.
No,
Everybody
it's the
is.
building.
Or building, okay.
Building.
Keep
Yeah.
correcting, that's fine.
Well, no,
I'll
that-
catch on, but I would like to get in line with what we've done before, but Mr. Hansard, I'm trying to find out what the comparison between somebody else and one of our employees that is in charge of that gym and that. And I'm very anxious to hear more about supposedly he was gonna put the money in his pocket. I'm almost certain, I don't think that man would.
No, he said.
Yeah, he said.
They're charging $10 per kid to participate in the workout Wednesdays. And
Is this a fundraiser?
No, that money's going back to
Private
him.
profit. It's private profit.
Yeah,
That's where the issue lies.
yeah.
It is?
Private
Private, okay. Well, you can't do that on school property, no ways.
Right.
Right.
Waive the fee or not is irrelevant because you
Yeah,
can't do it.
whether it's SSO agreements or rules and regulations like we've been through, school support, or
It's no different
any of
than a
that,
teacher
you can't
wanting to have
benefit.
private tutoring in our building and we don't allow that and we can't allow that
Right.
for them to make money.
So if we sign the
And
contract.
so
Yeah,
we don't, not to mention the liability
Who
issue.
signed the contract? What is their?
well, that's a facility use fee is basically the agreement. So, but if we signed it and it's not something that's allowed, then it'd be invalid anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, that law that you sent me earlier, the one,
The TCA.
yeah. And it specifically says in it, the Board of Education of the respective municipalities shall have the right to permit municipal school buildings and municipal school property to be used for public, community, or recreational purposes under such rules, regulations, and conditions as may be prescribed from time to time by the Board of Education. This is the part. Provided that this right shall not extend to the use of school buildings and property for private profit.
Right.
Well, but I believe it comes down to being a school employee.
Well, it's also
It's-
private
Well-
profit.
Yeah.
Well, if you go to our policy, 3.206, number 2 on there says use of facilities for an extended basis or use of facilities for profit-making purposes must initially be approved by the board. Upon board approval, the director of schools may approve subsequent uses for the same group. Okay, this is, under the community use of facilities. Of course, also at number 11, under there says groups not already covered by the Board of Education's liability policy must file a certificate of liability insurance copy in the amount of $1 million with the Coffee County Board of Education. That's groups. If you go to section or policy 5.608, which is the tutoring for pay, which is more to an individual, it strictly states on number 4 under it is school facilities may not be used for private profit. The community use of school facilities, I can see allowing for a far profit if it was a group wanting to use it for a fundraiser, something like that. But, to me, as far as the way I understand it and look at it, using it for private basketball lessons is tutoring. And that's a private individual, that's private profit, and so it would be covered under that policy.
I think I'm agreeing on both sides, but I think we're not staying in line with the proper procedure of what's going on right here. I think I'm agreeing with you that this is not right in the aspect of, I swear as an employee, you're definitely not supposed to make money off school property as an employee of the school system. Board of Education members count the same. The second aspect of it is the way you presented it just then, we couldn't rent it out to Bonnaroo.
No,
We couldn't rent it out to Bonnaroo, the high school, to come in and do their ticket sales during the summer?
No, we can.
Because somebody else is making money off of it.
No, we can. That's what I'm saying is,
Well-
as a community, we could rent it to an outside source entity to come in. They can make money on it, and it's just like we approve it once, and then Mr. Hargrove could reapprove it every year.
Yeah.
For like Bonnaroo to come in.
Yeah.
Yes, they're making money, but they're that's considered a lease because they're leasing the building from us.
Well, when you said that a while ago, you was like in there, like you couldn't, nobody can come in and use our facilities and make money from them. No, yeah, they can.
Yeah, they
And you just
can.
said that.
Yeah, they
Yeah, they
can.
can.
But
I think your whole issue behind this and what's happened right here is you can't make money as an individual by yourself, not to mention we missed the lick on there about waiving the building fees,
right.
I guess.
Being a school employee and coming in and making money off of, the school facilities.
Yeah.
There's,
Well, I think
No,
we
if it was
just
the
need to,
basketball booster club, different story.
Well, if all the money,
Total different story.
well, if all the money that he was collecting, if it was going back into the general basketball fund, that would be a different story.
Rita?
I think we need to rethink this because I think all of us realize that basketball, I call it a camp, is something that would be welcomed by the community for parents of kids that would, $10 is nominal fee for a child, elementary child to go to a camp, a basketball
yeah.
camp. And if we need to figure out how to make it legal.
Through a club.
And I don't
maybe
think,
don't-
I don't think,
Through-
I don't
through
think
your-
he was there
as
to
a
make
fundraiser.
money.
Yeah, maybe
You do it
don't
as a
use the
fundraiser.
school gym.
No, you do it as a fundraiser.
Well,
If
you
it's a
could do that, too.
fundraiser and the money's going into the account, there ain't nothing we can do about it. That's rule.
Yeah.
That's law.
But-
Well, if the money went back into the equipment or whatever was needed, I mean,
Well, the
there's ways
basketball
of,
booster club. I mean, if he
there's
put it
ways
into his
of this
booster club,
working
I'm
without-
assuming that's when he does with his fundraisers, he has to put the money into his athletic account at the school.
But there's two issues. One is the fee waiver. We waived all the fees, which is fine. We can do that as a board.
We can fix
So
that.
I don't have a problem with that, but,
The second
what-
thing is you can't even allow it to begin with to go to his personal sale.
right, right. So
That's
that,
the legality of it.
So
But
he's gonna have to
could we-
resubmit. He really needs to
Right.
resubmit and tear that one up
or
and resubmit the right way through the
Right.
booster club and go from there.
we could do that, and then you can just, vote to rescind, and then, have him submit a new one, and then go from there, because
That's
You
what
know,
it would be. A vote to
clearly,
rescind and then-
we're violating our own terms, so it. contract is
And I
probably
could be wrong. We do need to double check that on the,
Yeah.
Can I say something really quick?
Sure.
I won't take up time. But also, there's a Tennessee teacher code of ethics. And I have it cited on here, Tennessee Code Annotated 49.6.1003, that teachers will not use their educator's professional relationship with the student for private advantage. Now, am I saying that's happening? I don't know. But what we don't want to get into, I don't think as a district, is creating an environment that allows this pay-to-play kind of thing. Meaning, and I had a parent, a citizen, call me about this today, saying, a few years ago, there was a sports program here where a coach was offering private lessons, and the kids felt very obligated to sign up for the private lessons and pay the coach to have those lessons, and obviously they're getting an advantage over other players on the team. That comes into the whole pay-to-play thing, and we don't want to create that environment where kids feel like if I don't sign up with private lessons from my coach or a coach within the system, I'm going to be behind. That's not that creates inequity there between the players. And so really, I think we have to just, I'm not saying this is what's going on, but we have to be mindful of our coaches of our teams offering private lessons. You know what I'm saying? Because it can create that breeding ground for, if you don't sign up for the private lesson, you're at a big disadvantage on the team. And I don't want that for our kids here. I want level playing ground.
Well, I agree. Well, we were the ones that decided it, but I was looking at it as a camp. I mean, they have those camps in the summer, and didn't he say that there were basketball players going to be there helping? So it's not actually private lessons. It's
No, it's
more or
just
less.
something that simply should have been run through the Booster Club if he's gonna stay within the laws and the rules of what he can and can't do with school get money
Yeah.
generated on school property like that.
Well,
I just read the SSO book again.
I just want to tell y'all this. So we have done this before. We have approved these things
Yeah.
before.
That's what I thought.
So I just want you to be aware that we have done that before.
Where somebody's taking money for
Well, I mean,
private lessons.
Code and Andrew Taylor did a basketball camp.
And they pocketed it?
But-
I'm sorry, but.
No, that went through that went,
On Facebook.
but it went through their,
It's
it
on
went,
That opens up a whole nother can.
good Lord.
We have-
Listen, but before we start sitting here trying to just slander people and start trying to start all of this as if these coaches are doing all this pay-for-play nonsense and crap, when we have one like that right there, why don't we ask Miss April if she could touch base with the high school and see if the funds that they generated for that camp went into their athletic accounts? Because if the money went into their athletic accounts for girls' basketball and boys' basketball, that's 100% within the law.
I just wanted you guys to be aware that I know.
Cope and Andrew's been approved for a camp before. Okay,
Yeah.
let's find out before we
That's an easy
start
question to find out.
slandering in public
Yes.
on camera.
We don't want to do that.
Let's make sure where things went. And so we're comparing apples to apples.
Well, and I agree with that we definitely need to be careful.
Yes.
But, I was not at the meeting, but I did catch up on YouTube. And Coach Taylor did say that the $10 is for me. So he,
Oh, I'm not saying about this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I've done
He
said
was
right here
upfront about
tonight
that,
on that
yeah.
one right
Right.
there,
About
that
that,
obviously,
yeah.
if he said that right there, that's against
Yeah.
law.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I
Our
mean-
policy,
It's
that's
illegal.
against law.
Yes.
I mean, the whole thing about this here is is it
I
legal
do
or
be-
not?
I do believe.
And that's what we gotta go back and revisit,
Right.
and
Because if it's not legit, then it's not a legitimate contract, so that,
right. It
And
was,
it's like I
it
said,
was,
we
it
need
was
to
a
fig-
contract under false pretenses.
yeah.
And we need to figure out a solution for it, because I don't
Yeah.
think I don't
The-
think he's trying to make money off of it.
I don't think he's doing any of this to
But
be
it needs to be
intentional.
handled properly.
So the false pretenses, I don't think was intentional.
Well, it
I
might
don't-
not
I don't
be,
want
but-
people sitting here watching this to hear the word false pretenses and take it as,
Well, and
well,
by
I
the,
lied to the board so that I could do this and put it in my pocket.
Well,
No,
right,
we've-
but I mean,
we've
the
seen
fault-
things of that nature take place before.
Yeah.
but at the same token, we could have, say, an auto mechanics teacher say, well, I want to use the auto mechanics equipment at the high school and the classroom and the lift and everything else. And I want to maybe tutor students on that or fix cars, repair vehicles using the high school's equipment classroom. And I'm not saying this has ever happened. That's just an example. We could say the same thing about the culinary arts classroom. And so, it's illegal.
What are we saying though?
I'm just
What
saying.
are they doing? I mean, what are
Using
you
the
saying?
facilities
Using
for
the
private,
For
Are
private,
they?
private gain. No,
No, no, no.
no.
I'm saying those are just abstract examples. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think that's ever happened. But if we open this can of worms and start it,
You can't start it.
right.
It's against the law.
It's
You
against
can't
the law.
start it.
So that's what we're
automatically,
trying to
If he's
say.
putting the money in his pocket and it's not going to approved school support organization or the booster club that's within the schools and operates under the school's
Yes.
umbrella of the tax ID number,
Yes. We.
they
yeah.
can't do it.
Well, then, why don't we do this? Why don't we, Mr. Hargrove can get a hold of him and have him withdraw that, and we will,
You ain't got nothing to rescind then if he withdraws it.
if he withdraws it,
You don't have nothing to rescind.
Otherwise, we can
Hopefully he
vote to
draw
rescind.
another one up and-
yeah, and he can resubmit without any personal financial money coming to him.
We've been through this so many times, and we're
Or-
making a big circle here.
Go to the booster club, either
Yes.
way,
It's either the,
Seems legit,
it's
yeah.
the approved school support organization for that sport,
or it's
or
free.
the school's athletic account. That's your two choices to fund monies into and out of school.
And he should be fine with that because he's getting a $2,000 extra pay.
For real.
Hey, when we're talking about rescinding something, I think there's something else we need to consider because we already voted as a group to just give the 2,000, to not add to that. You know, we voted to just give the 2,000 to the teachers as per required by the state with that money. So we'll have to rescind that, won't we? To do another
No, because we're
motion.
doing it to everybody else. We're
No,
doing-
you're leaving that. This is like a secondary motion to add everybody else.
Totally separate thing.
I don't know, we
Is
have
it-
to look and see what that motion was because,
I can look back at past agendas. I think it was just a budget amendment to give a.
but we
to give extra
voted,
pay.
you know, we voted to
Oh, we
only
signed
give
that-
the
signed that
2,000
little-
to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we voted.
we,
to-
we voted to accept
State law.
the state,
And give
the
the.
state
Bribe.
funds for the
State bribe.
teachers, but we did not agree with the purpose or the reasoning that we were receiving the
But I
funds.
do know we discussed that.
That's what we
and-
voted on.
Yeah.
But we did discuss, we
And then, of
need
course,
to
we
check
voted
and
the
see.
amendment, the
Yeah.
budget amendment to cover it.
So
Yeah,
you
that
would
was
just
just
be
the last
doing
meeting.
you would just be doing a motion this time to include everybody else with a $2,000 bonus.
Right.
Everybody that skipped with a $2,000 bonus, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that needs to be a separate action item or if the budget amendment covers that. I'll decide.
I
We
think
can
that
we
would-
can look back at previous.
I think that would need to be a separate item.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a separate item
It's a
because
big
you already
deal.
have a
I-
main motion
can't remember how
including
we've
just
done
a
it in the
certain
past.
amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
I
that's
think
right.
we'd be better off to,
I think it would be
Did they-
cleaner.
I think
Do a
Chris
motion.
is right on that,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
think it'd be cleaner. So, all right, so is that, if he agrees to remove that, then we don't really need to rescind and he can resubmit and we can put it back on as an agenda
Yes,
item
sir.
to consider it, you know, anew.
Yes, sir.
All right, does that work for everybody? That address everybody's concerns? Okay.
Can I ask
All right.
one question about the bonus, back to the extra pay, one more time? The intent was to give that in December, correct? Is that what I understood? Is that what,
I think that's what we'd like to see.
I'd
okay,
like to see it. I'd like to see
Yeah.
it. you know.
okay.
Do board members get that too?
We didn't get a teacher's bonus.
Yeah, where are we?
Don't be greedy.
Where do we fall?
Yeah.
Don't be greedy, you're getting your $15 for this meeting.
Teachers got all summer off, so I took it off too.
Three quick items, policy committee meeting, hopefully we'll set one of those up, I believe Miss
I want 42 on the agenda.
Okay, world record. Sports in full swing. Got a ton of stuff going on with a lot of great kids wearing the red and black. And I would like to recognize Dr. Kathy Crabtree in the back. She has been nominated and selected by the Tennessee Department of Education as part of the Rural Principal Network. And she will be able to collaborate with other principals in our state, and these principals serve in districts like ours. So full of great folks. So
Another board
congratulations.
meeting recognition coming up, so.
Yes.
Okay, now, our flag policy, is that going, we're
Well,
talking
hopefully
about?
that will come up during the
Policy committee?
policy committee.
Okay,
And I'll-
got it, just to
Yes, sir.
clarify, okay.
We want to set the date for that, ma'am?
Take off. Have at it. Call it out.
Everybody get together.
If I'm not there, Frida will take over. She's the vice.
We'll do it.
Any date for everybody?
Not before the 30th, would you think, Frida? Because I know you're not going to be here and I probably
No, I
won't either.
can't.
Because the horse show starts Wednesday and I'll be over there pretty much every night.
They can't get it on September then, can they?
Why can't you do it in September?
Get the second, third, fourth.
You might push it a few days past the first.
It takes me a little bit of time to
I
get them
might not be able to drive.
It'd be hard to have it for the board meeting.
What's the fall retreat date?
We may need to
I didn't
try to
think we
have
had
that
to
on
get any more in
the
before
next
September.
Meeting.
Do what?
The 23rd, I think, of September.
We may want
23rd.
to try to get that in so that we can have that on our next board meeting,
By the September meeting.
by the September meeting.
The policy,
Yes,
That-
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
so then, when can
All right, it had to be next week, but I'm not gonna be there,
I
so.
can't either.
Well, no, I'm
There's,
not
there's
gonna
plenty of
leave
a
this
quorum, there's
seat.
plenty of a quorum with us two not being there,
It's on
so.
you.
That puts you,
No, it's not.
that
No,
puts
you're in
you as
charge.
lieutenant
Yeah,
general on that
Beth
one.
would be the remaining board member.
Yeah.
Now you're in charge.
But that's
We'll
fine, I
have some
mean,
principals here.
that's perfectly fine. I mean, it'd be her and 3, 4 principals.
And
Is that right?
Mr. Cordell.
Yeah, Mr. Cordell. Yep.
Well, the second we're going to Hickman County.
And you're
so-
only talking about 5?
A few more than that, but not what happened.
Come on,
in-
Beth, I just showed you how to do 38
Well, I
in an
know.
hour and 45 minutes.
I think we've got some interesting ones coming up, so I don't know.
Well, we only pushed one. That's all we pushed. Is some of those others the ones that you were gonna bring up anyways during the meeting? Yeah, we didn't go through the policy. Okay, good. I don't feel so bad. There was just one then.
The latest we could do it would be September the 3rd. I mean, that's pushing me if that, you know.
No, Labor Day, September the 1st on Monday. Dove season opens at noon. I can't do the 2nd, but I can possibly do the 3rd.
Do not interrupt Dove's season.
September 2nd.
All this
I
has
could
to be
possibly do the
scheduled around.
3rd, but don't look for me on the 2nd.
Parent-teacher conferences are on the 4th. We can do
Okay.
them.
Well, we
We'll send
stand,
it out.
we stand adjourned, so people can leave or snack or.
I have to leave.